we're taught to equate creative force with survival instinct. I have been guided for a while to begin to create from more of a place of inspiration than a place of logic. So there's a difference between getting the inspiration and then using the vessel's logic to create the thing and trying to pull things out of the ether with logic. This is a very rushed thing that I have found causes me to betray my own creative force. And as I'm doing that, it's taking me a lot longer to create the way that I normally would. And I want to be so clear when I say creative force, I'm not just talking about actual what we see as creation. Like, I'm not talking about stuff like this video. I mean, this is part of it. I'm not talking about your day job. I'm talking about the energy of creation, which is building up, which is creating new, versus the energy of destruction, which is tearing down things that no longer serve. I'm talking about everything that is building back up, that creative force. And that is causing a lot of like inner turmoil and feelings. And when I tap into those feelings, it's because of survival instinct. It's because of I feel like I just have to get it out. I just have to get it out. When I really tap into it, it's about productivity as well, which, I'm a super Capricorn. I don't subscribe to this idea that work and productivity is wrong. I just think that I think it's a part of life, but I think that due to the consumeristic, profit focused society, we have been conditioned to think of hard work as this like external thing to produce results to get the thing done, when nature tells us that most hard work begins deeply underground. It's not something you consciously do over and over. Like when a tree or a flower, when you're growing plants, you plant the seed, and the seed takes a long time to start doing the work underground until it starts to sprout up. But the way that we are conditioned to view productivity and work is through external, like what can we do in the external reality? How do I get things done right now? How do I see what's going on, what's happening? How do I have proof, especially when you think about like work, like in a work environment, your boss wants to see external results of everything you're doing. They don't really care about everything that goes into it. They care more about the external results, and that's what they want to see from you. So we're like very conditioned to ignore the actual inner process of actually growing and harnessing the creative force. So as I've been kind of having an inner struggle about actually tapping into my creative force and my divine inspiration more than trying to like logically extract information from the ether, it has caused this inner struggle. And when I tap into that, I was just tapping into it, and it has to do with the conditioning that I must be productive. Like, if I don't get this done now, then I'm not getting anywhere. Like, nothing is actually happening if I don't see external results. I think part of it goes back to survival instinct. Like, a lot of times, the thing that is conditioned into us is for something, right? So, like, the reason that we're conditioned to do this and behave this way is for the profit of the rich. But that then correlates to every area of life. And when it comes to my own hobbies, my own self growth, my own, personal fulfillment in many different areas of life, that conditioning trickles down into all those different areas of life where I then feel as though I have to have external results and I have to be acting in order to actually have proof that I'm getting anywhere. And the thing is that in the system, like within the system, the consumeristic system, this is why most of our stuff is now very cheap. It is very flimsy because the system and the those at the top are more concerned about turning profit, even if the quality of work has went way down. The quality of material and intellectual goods has severely went down in the last few decades because of the cannibalistic nature of consumerism, of being profit focused first. Because of that, and because of the conditioning for external results in our work lives, and that trickling down into the rest of our lives, the same thing happens for every other area of life. Every other area of life that is affected by this conditioning, that we must have external productivity before we do the internal work, before we lay the groundwork, before we do the work in the ground, inside, within, right? Like metaphorically speaking, the conditioning that we must show external results all the time before we actually do the work ends up making those other areas of life also cheap, hollow, low quality. We are conditioned to betray our creative force, to give it away, because also there's survival instinct within here. Human beings equate approval with safety. The conditioning for approval, for somebody to deem us worthy in our work lives in a consumerist society that says you must have external visible signs that you are progressing, that you have something to offer, creates hollow, cheap stuff, because when you're creating, the most of the work on the forefront is done within, underground. So the conditioning that we must be profit focused or external result focused with any sort of change in our life, any sort of creation energy, whether that be self growth, creative projects, what have you, is essentially conditioning us to give away our creative force for external measures of worth, for external, like, proof that we are valuable in some way. But in doing so, it actually devalues our creative force, because it is then coming from a place outside of us rather than inside of us. And the only way to truly harness creative force, we see it all around in nature. We see seeds that work underground and then bloom. Mothers carry babies, and it takes a long time for the baby to grow. Like, this is how nature works. The growth and the creation happens underground within. And in the conditioning that it's external, it's literally devaluing the individual's authentic creative force. And I'm finding for myself that though I intellectually understand this, like everything else, like every other inner work and self work I do, the unconscious conditioning, just because I intellectually understand and am doing the work, doesn't mean the unconscious conditioning isn't still whispering things in my ear. Okay. And it's not like actual words. It's like, as I've been guided to tap into my true creative force rather than trying to outsource it and trying to rush and trying to be proof focused. I want proof that I'm making changes and that I'm growing. And that's not how that works. That literally devalues the whole process. You know, my higher mind, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, is like, no, literally, we're tapping back into our creative force. We're reclaiming our creative force. And then the unconscious conditioning is like, well, but then you're just going to be stuck. You're going to be stagnant. You're never going to get anywhere. You're going to be stuck in the same place and you're going to fail and all this other stuff. Like, it's not words, it's feelings. But when I think about the feelings, that's how it feels. So it's like this like inner turmoil as I'm working through this process. The thing that keeps me motivated is the understanding that I have been operating off of the conditioning that any sort of change, any sort of creation energy happens externally. And it has literally caused nothing but stagnation and destruction in my life. It has never got me anywhere. It has only ever made it so that what I'm trying to change, what I'm trying to produce, what I'm trying to create is literally just like it's cheap. It ends up getting torn down because it ends up being not of me. It's of external measures of worth. It's of proof that I am valuable. And so like the amount of growth that I see when holding myself accountable and challenging this conditioning is internally very fulfilling. And I may have no external results. Like, especially when it comes to like self worth and, or not self worth, like, yeah, self worth, self work, any kind of inner work, and any kind of creative project, anything like that. I might not have a lot of external results, but I feel it's like I feel it. It's like you start to feel being in touch with your creative force. And even though the conditioning is still like, look at that, nothing's happening, you can feel the more fulfilling energy of actually doing the internal work and the groundwork, you know?